Pause for a moment and imagine standing in the midst of heaven, where glorious choirs echo through eternity, where the light of the Creator shines brighter than 1,000 suns. Now, picture witnessing the most heart-wrenching, monumental moment in the history of the universe. The Son of God, whom you've worshipped since eternity, hanging on a Roman cross, blood dripping, breath fading. But here's the question that will grip you. What did the angels, those loyal warriors of heaven, beings who've seen his power shake the cosmos, do when they saw him die? Did they stand still in silence? Did they weep in anguish? Or did they yearn to swoop down and save him? This isn't just a story. It's the mystery that reshaped the destiny of humanity and left all of heaven breathless. And I promise you, by the time you reach the end, the way you see the cross will never be the same. Today, we're embarking on a journey never told before, seeing through the eyes of the angels, beings who've witnessed it all, from the creation of the stars to the fateful moment on Golgotha. You'll discover a love so vast, it stunned even these supernatural warriors. A plan of salvation so grand that even they couldn't fully grasp it. This isn't a Hollywood blockbuster or an epic novel. This is the truth that shook both heaven and earth. If you're ready to dive into this mystery, hit the like button now to support us. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss more inspiring Bible stories. Let's step into this journey together and uncover what the angels saw and what they learned when the Son of God died. Let's begin by envisioning a realm far beyond what human eyes can see. Before the earth was formed, before the stars twinkled in the sky, there were supernatural beings, heaven's warriors known as angels. They're not the chubby cherubs with tiny wings you see on Christmas cards, but mighty, intelligent creatures, utterly devoted to God. In Hebrews 1:14, the Bible describes them as ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. Picture them as the most loyal guardians, ready to carry out every command of the Creator without hesitation. They've witnessed the grandest moments of the universe, when God declared, "Let there be light." Genesis 1:3. Light exploded into existence, and the angels, as Job 38:7 recounts, sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. But angels aren't just spectators of history. They're warriors who've protected prophets, shut the mouths of lions in Daniel's den, Daniel 6:22, and guided Israel through the wilderness with a pillar of cloud and fire. Exodus 14:19. They are beings of immense power, their wings shaking the very fabric of space, like the seraphim in Isaiah's vision, crying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts," so powerfully that the temple's foundations trembled, Isaiah 6:2-3. So, have you ever wondered? These beings, who've seen God's power shake the universe and sung praises to His glory through the ages, were they ready for the moment they'd see the Son of God face unimaginable suffering? Could they comprehend it when the one they've worshipped eternally stepped into a plan even they couldn't fully understand? What makes this story even more gripping is the truth that angels, despite their power, don't know everything. In 1 Peter 1:12, the Bible reveals that there are things even angels long to look into. They're curious, they learn, and they marvel at God's mysteries. When Jesus, the Son of God, entered the world, the angels faced an unprecedented enigma. They'd seen him in glory, seated on the heavenly throne, worshipped by countless angels, Revelation 5:11. But now, they were about to see him in an entirely different state, weak, vulnerable, and preparing to face death. The question lingering in their minds, and in ours, is why? Why would the Creator choose this path of suffering? Imagine you're an angel, a being who's worshipped the Son of God before time began. You've seen him create galaxies, arrange the stars, and breathe life into the first man, Adam, John 1:3, All things were made through him. He is the Word, eternally one with the Father. John 1:1. But then, a moment that changed everything unfolded. On a cold night in Bethlehem, the Son of God no longer sat on heaven's throne, but lay in a manger, a fragile, vulnerable infant, wrapped in rough cloth. The angels couldn't contain their joy, bursting into a chorus of praise. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests. Luke 2:14. Yet, beneath that joy, was there a hint of bewilderment? How could the one who commanded galaxies choose to become human, living among the dust and frailty of mankind? For 33 years, the angels watched every step Jesus took. They saw him grow up in the humble village of Nazareth, learning to wield a saw and hammer as an ordinary carpenter. They observed him walking dusty roads, sharing simple meals with his disciples, and teaching lessons that made even heaven pause to listen. Every miracle, from turning water into wine, John 2:1-11, to raising Lazarus from the dead, John 11:43-44, reminded them that he was still the Creator. But they also saw him weary, hungry, and sometimes rejected by the very people he came to save. A question gnawed at the angels' hearts. Why this path? Why would the one with limitless power live a life so full of limitations? Put yourself in an angel's place. You've beheld his glory, heard his voice echo through the heavens. But now you see him walking among sinful humans, misunderstood, mocked. In Matthew 8:20, Jesus said, "Foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." To the angels, this was a mystery beyond their grasp. They'd seen him surrounded by countless angels in glory, Revelation 4:8. But now he slept in cold fields, sustained only by his love for humanity. The incarnation of Jesus was their first shock, the initial step in a plan the angels could only watch in awe. But something far worse awaited, a moment even heaven's most faithful warriors couldn't prepare for. Now transport your mind to a dark garden, where the air is thick with unbearable tension. Gethsemane, a name meaning olive press in Aramaic, was where the Son of God would be crushed under the weight of humanity's sins. In Luke 22:44, the Bible paints a heart-shattering picture. In his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling to the ground. This isn't just poetic imagery. Medical science calls this hematidrosis, where extreme stress causes capillaries to burst, mixing blood with sweat. Picture the scene. Jesus, who once calmed the sea with a word, Mark 4:39, now kneels in a dark garden, his body trembling, sweat mingled with blood, dripping onto the cold ground. But what makes this story even more heart-wrenching is what the angels witnessed. Imagine millions of angels, warriors who once sang praises to his glory, standing in the heavens, gazing down at Gethsemane. They yearned to rush down, to lift him up, to erase the pain crushing his heart. But then, a detail stuns all of heaven. Only one angel is permitted to come. Luke 22:43 records, "An angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him." One angel, singular. Not thousands, not millions, but one. Can you imagine it? Countless angels, with power to shatter chains and defeat armies in supernatural battles. 2 Kings 19:35, now stand still, while a single angel is sent. Not to save him, not to spare him from pain, but to strengthen him, to help him walk the path to the cross. Place yourself in that angel's position. You stand before the Son of God, whom you've worshipped eternally, now kneeling in agony, praying, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me." Matthew 26:39. Your heart screams, "Let us save him. Let us stop this." But then you hear the rest of his prayer. Yet not my will, but yours be done." In that moment, the angel realizes this isn't just a test of power. It's a lesson in love, a love even angels can't fully comprehend. They've seen God in glory, witnessed him speak the universe into existence. But now they see him kneel, embracing suffering for humanity's sake. The question looms: why? Why would the one who could summon legions of angels choose this path? The angels, who've protected prophets and opened prison doors for apostles, Acts 5:19, now stand still, obeying a command beyond their understanding. Gethsemane wasn't just where Jesus was crushed by humanity's sins. It was where the angels first faced their own powerlessness and began to grasp that God's plan was greater than any power they'd ever known. The story now shifts to a darker chapter. After the agony of Gethsemane, Jesus rises, ready to face his fate. But the angels, heaven's warriors, witness a scene that leaves them stunned. Judas, one of Jesus' closest disciples, steps forward with a kiss of betrayal. In Matthew 26:48-49, the Bible recounts how Judas used a kiss, a symbol of love and trust, to hand his teacher over to his enemies. To the angels, that kiss wasn't just a human betrayal. It was like a dagger piercing their hearts. They'd seen Jesus walk with Judas, teach him, share meals with him. How could a creature so loved betray his creator? Then Roman soldiers arrive, chaining Jesus and leading him away like a criminal. The angels, who once shielded Israel from Egypt's army, Exodus 14:19-20, and freed Peter from prison, Acts 12:7, now watch the Son of God bound in chains. In Matthew 26:53, Jesus speaks words that shake heaven itself. "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" 12 legions, over 70,000 angels, stand ready with Michael, the archangel, perhaps poised to wipe out every foe. But that command never comes. Instead, Jesus adds, "But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way?" Matthew 26:54. Imagine the angels' frustration. They have the power to shatter chains, to make entire Roman armies vanish in an instant. They've seen God speak a word to destroy 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night. 2 Kings 19:35. Yet now, they must stand still, obeying a command they don't fully understand. As Jesus is led before Pilate, falsely accused by religious leaders, and met with a crowd's cries of "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Luke 23:21. The angels feel as if all of heaven is silent, deafeningly so. How could the people Jesus came to save demand his death? How could the angels, warriors of supernatural battles, stand by and watch this injustice unfold? But in that silence, the angels begin to see something profound. This isn't just a story of power, it's a story of love beyond their comprehension. They've seen God execute justice, as when he sent the flood in Noah's time, Genesis 7. They've seen his mercy, as when he forgave Israel for worshiping the golden calf, Exodus 32. But now, they witness a sacrificial love, where the Son of God willingly endures suffering and humiliation to redeem those who oppose him. Have you ever felt powerless in the face of injustice? That's exactly what the angels felt. But they obeyed, knowing God's plan was greater than anything they could imagine. Imagine you're an angel, a being who has witnessed the radiant glory of the Son of God on his heavenly throne, where countless angels sing, "Holy, holy, holy," Revelation 4:8. But now you stand in the heavens, gazing down at an unimaginable scene. Jesus, the Creator you've worshipped for eternity, bound, mocked, and tortured by the very creatures he made. The Roman soldiers, hardened by centuries of cruelty, wield the flagrum, a horrific weapon with leather straps embedded with bone and metal, designed to tear flesh with every strike. In Matthew 27:26, the Bible records that Pilate ordered Jesus to be flogged before handing him over to be crucified. Each lash not only rips through his body, but also cuts like a sharp blade into the hearts of the angels. Have you ever wondered? What did these beings, who saw God create galaxies with a single word, feel as they watched him endure human brutality? The angels had seen him walk on water, Matthew 14:26, heal the blind, John 9:6-7, and raise the dead, John 11:43-44. They knew he had the power to stop it all with a mere wave of his hand. But he didn't. Instead, he stood there, silently enduring, while his tormentors mocked him, placing a crown of thorns on his head, Matthew 27:29. Picture the scene. Sharp thorns piercing his flesh, blood streaming down the face of the one who once made angels kneel in awe. The angels, warriors who had defeated armies in supernatural battles, 2 Chronicles 32:21, now stand watching, unable to intervene. The image is an incomprehensible paradox. The creator of all things, who could make mountains tremble, Psalm 104, verse 32, allows his own creation to humiliate and torture him. Think deeper for a moment. The angels had witnessed God's justice, as when he rained fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19:24. They had seen his mercy, as when he delivered Israel from Egypt, Exodus 12:51. But now they saw something entirely new: voluntary sacrifice. Isaiah 53:5 prophesied, "He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed." Each lash, each drop of blood, was the price for humanity's sins. But for the angels, this was a mystery that left them stunned. Why would the sinless one endure pain for the guilty? How could the angels, beings who had sung praises to his glory, comprehend seeing him reduced to a victim of human cruelty? Now, transport your mind to Golgotha, the place called Skull Hill, a chilling name fitting for where life would confront death. The angels, who had seen Jesus make demons tremble, Mark 1:24, now witness a scene that leaves all of heaven breathless. The Son of God, laid on a rough wooden cross, his arms and legs stretched, with large iron nails driven into his flesh. In John 20:25, the Bible mentions the marks of the nails in his hands. Though scholars suggest the nails were likely driven through his wrists, where the bones could bear the body's weight. Imagine the sound, the hammer striking iron, each blow echoing like thunder, not just on Golgotha, but through the heavens. To the angels, that sound was unlike any celestial melody they'd ever heard. It was the cry of pain, of sacrifice, of a love beyond all limits. Have you ever wondered what the angels felt seeing their Creator hung between 2 thieves? In Luke 23:33, the Bible describes Jesus crucified between 2 criminals. The angels had seen him seated on a throne, surrounded by glorious angels, Revelation 5:11. Now, he hung on a crude wooden cross, flanked by society's outcasts. The contrast was like a dagger to their hearts. They knew he could summon more than 12 legions of angels, Matthew 26:53, to wipe out every enemy. They had seen him silence wind and waves, Mark 4:39, cast out demons with a word, Luke 4:35. But he didn't. Instead, he chose the path of suffering, the path to death. Picture yourself as an angel, standing in the heavens, looking down at the cross. You want to shout, to swoop down, to use your power to shatter every chain. But the Father's command is clear. Do not intervene. In Psalm 22:16, written centuries before, the prophet David described this scene. They pierced my hands and my feet. The angels knew this prophecy, but knowing it was one thing, witnessing it was another. Each hammer strike, each cry of pain from Jesus was a reminder that this wasn't just a death. It was the price for humanity's redemption. How could the angels comprehend that the one who created every tree, from lush forests to mighty oaks, was now hung on a cross made from his own creation? As the cross was raised, all of heaven seemed to hold its breath. But what happened next was a moment that shook the entire universe. In Matthew 27:45, the Bible records, "From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness fell over all the land. From noon to 3 in the afternoon, when the sun should have been at its brightest, a supernatural darkness engulfed the region." This was no ordinary natural phenomenon. Historians note that Passover occurred during a full moon, making a solar eclipse impossible. This was God's direct intervention. But for the angels, this darkness carried a deeper meaning. It was a sign of an unprecedented separation in the history of eternity. Then, around the 9th hour, a cry tore through the silence of heaven and earth. Matthew 27:46 records, "Jesus cried out in a loud voice, 'Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani,' which means, 'My God, why have you forsaken me?'" This was the moment when even the angels, who had witnessed the perfect communion between the Father and the Son from eternity, John 1:1, could not comprehend. How could God be separated from God? How could the one who made angels kneel in awe cry out in despair? For the angels, this was a heart-wrenching mystery, a moment that plunged all of heaven into deafening silence. In 2 Corinthians 5:21, the Bible explains, "God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God." During those 3 hours of darkness, Jesus bore the sins of all humanity, every betrayal, every lie, every crime. The angels, who had seen God's justice executed on sinners, as in Ezekiel 9:5-6, now witnessed something unprecedented, the sinless one enduring punishment for the guilty. Imagine you're an angel who once sang praises to his glory, now hearing his cry, "Why have you forsaken me?" You want to rush to him, to hold him, to ask why. But the Father's command echoes, "Do not intervene. This is my plan." Perhaps the angels wondered, why does his love go so far? They had seen God's mercy when he forgave King David for adultery and murder, 2 Samuel 12:13. They had seen his power when he parted the Red Sea, Exodus 14:21. But now, they saw a love beyond anything they'd ever witnessed, a love willing to endure separation from the Father to redeem humanity. Have you ever wondered, how great must that love be to leave all of heaven in awe? The final moment arrived. After hours of agony, where every breath was a battle, Jesus uttered his last words, "It is finished." John 19:30. The Greek word tetelestai doesn't just mean done. It was a term used in commerce, meaning the debt is paid in full. To the angels, this declaration was like thunder awakening all of heaven. They understood that humanity's debt of sin, a debt none of us could pay, had been fully settled. But immediately after, Jesus bowed his head and breathed his last. In Luke 23:46, he said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And then the Son of God died. Imagine standing there, witnessing the moment when the Creator, who gave life to all things, John 1:4, lay lifeless on the cross. It was a moment when all of heaven held its breath, as if the universe itself stopped moving. But at that instant, creation responded to this loss. Matthew 27:51-53 records a series of supernatural events. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open, and many holy people who had died were raised to life. To the angels, these signs were not random. The temple curtain, so thick it couldn't be torn by human hands, symbolized the barrier between God and humanity. Hebrews 10:19-20 When it tore, the angels knew the way to God had been opened for all. The earthquake, the splitting rocks, and the resurrection of saints declared that Jesus' death was not defeat, but victory. The angels had seen God make mountains tremble, Habakkuk 3:10. But this time, the shaking carried a new meaning. Creation mourned its creator, but also proclaimed his triumph. Consider this. Even a Roman centurion, accustomed to the brutality of executions, exclaimed, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Matthew 27:54. The angels, who had sung praises to his glory, now saw a human recognize this truth through his suffering. Yet amid all these supernatural signs, the angels carried a lingering question. Why did he have to die? Why did his love go so far? They had seen him forgive sinners, like the woman caught in adultery, John 8:11. They had seen him heal the suffering, like blind Bartimaeus, Mark 10:52. But now they saw him pay the ultimate price, death, to redeem those who mocked him. Have you ever wondered? How could a love be so great that it silenced all of heaven in reverence? After the nightmare on Golgotha, when the sound of hammering nails fell silent, when the supernatural darkness lifted, and when the Son of God lay motionless in a cold tomb, heaven descended into a strange silence. The Sabbath, Saturday, that became the longest day in the history of the universe. Imagine you're an angel, a being who has heard glorious choruses in the heavens and seen God's power shake mountains, Psalm 97, 4-5. But now you stand in stillness, gazing at the stone tomb where the Creator, whom you've worshipped for eternity, lies without a breath. It feels as if the sun has stopped shining, as if the very heartbeat of the universe has paused. Did the angels ever doubt his promise? Or did they wait in absolute faith, knowing that God's plan always surpasses their understanding? In Matthew 27:62-66, the Bible recounts how the religious leaders, fearing Jesus' prediction that he would rise after 3 days, requested Pilate to station an elite guard and seal the tomb with a massive stone. To the angels, these human measures seemed almost laughable. They had seen God's power crush mighty armies, as when one angel destroyed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in a single night, Isaiah 37:36. A stone, a seal, or a squad of Roman soldiers. How could they stop the Creator? Yet the Father's command was clear. Wait. The angels, loyal warriors who once freed Peter from prison, Acts 12:7-10, and guided Israel through the Red Sea, Exodus 14:19, now had to stand still, forbidden to act. Even more remarkable is that in this silence, something was happening that even the angels couldn't fully see. In 1 Peter 3:19, the Bible reveals that Jesus, in his spiritual state, went and preached to the spirits in prison. Though the angels couldn't perceive the entirety of this act, they knew the Son of God was still at work, even in death. Imagine their curiosity. What is he doing? Could this be the next step in a plan even we can't fully grasp? The angels, beings who witnessed the creation of the universe, Job 38:7, stood in waiting, haunted by a question. When? When will he fulfill his promise to rise? They remembered his words in John 2:19. Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. But in the silence of the Sabbath, their faith was tested, not by doubt, but by absolute obedience. Have you ever wondered? How could the angels hold fast to faith in a moment when the universe seemed to have lost its light? On the early morning of Sunday, before dawn touched the horizon, heaven trembled with a command from the Father. The time has come. After a day and a half of silence, the angels, warriors who had waited in restraint, were finally permitted to act. Matthew 28:2 describes a scene that ignited all of heaven with joy. There was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, rolled back the stone from the tomb, and sat on it. Picture that moment. An angel with a face radiant like lightning, clothed in white as snow, Matthew 28:3, appearing with power that made the elite Roman guards tremble and become like dead men, Matthew 28:4. The massive stone, weighing tons, was rolled away as easily as a chair, and the angel sat upon it, as if declaring, "No power on earth or below can stop this victory." But here's what many miss. The angel didn't come to resurrect Jesus. He rose by his own power, as Romans 1:4 proclaims. He was declared to be the Son of God, with power by his resurrection from the dead. The stone wasn't rolled away to set Jesus free, but to show the world that he had conquered death. The angels, beings who had witnessed God's power in creation, Genesis 1:1, were given a new role, to be the first messengers of the resurrection gospel. When the women, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome, arrived at the tomb with heavy hearts, they found the angel waiting, ready to proclaim the words all of heaven had longed to shout. He is not here, for he has risen, as he said. Matthew 28:6. Place yourself in the angel's position at that moment. You had witnessed his unbearable pain on the cross, heard his desperate cry, "Why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27:46. But now you see him risen, his body glorified, victorious over death and sin. That joy was like an explosion of light, echoing through the heavens. The angels, who sang praises at his birth in Bethlehem, Luke 2:14, now became the first evangelists, bringing the good news to the women and, through them, to the world. Yet a question lingers. How could an empty tomb change the entire universe? How could this victory be so great that it made all of heaven rejoice? Have you ever considered that the gospel of the resurrection, first proclaimed by angels, still echoes today, calling you and me to gaze at that empty tomb? The resurrection wasn't the end, but the beginning of a new chapter in God's plan of salvation. Over the next 40 days, the angels watched Jesus appear multiple times. From Mary Magdalene in the garden, John 20:11-18, to the disciples on the road to Emmaus, Luke 24:13-35, and even to 500 believers at once, 1 Corinthians 15:6. Each appearance was a testament that death had been defeated, that his promises were true. But the most glorious moment was yet to come. The ascension. In Acts 1:9-11, the Bible describes, "After he said this, he was taken up before their eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight." Imagine the angels' joy as they saw the Son of God, now bearing a glorified body with the eternal scars of the cross, returning to heaven in glory. When Jesus returned to heaven, the angels erupted in a song of triumph. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise. Revelation 5:12. The angels who had been silent in anguish at his death now sang with uncontainable joy. They had seen him humiliated by his own creation, but now they saw him exalted above every name. As Philippians 2:9-11 declares, God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name above all names, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth. For the angels, this was not just the return of the Son of God, but a festival of ultimate victory, the triumph of love over sin, of life over death. But the story doesn't end there. The angels were given a new mission. In Acts 1:10-11, as the disciples gazed at the sky, two angels appeared and declared, "Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into the sky? This Jesus, who was taken up from you into heaven, will return in the same way you saw him go." This proclamation was not just a promise, but a call to action for the disciples and for us. The angels, ministering spirits, Hebrews 1:14, became companions of humanity, aiding the early church in spreading the gospel. They opened prison doors for apostles, Acts 5:19, guided Philip to the Ethiopian eunuch, Acts 8:26, and led Cornelius to Peter, Acts 10:3-7. As Jesus said in Luke 15:10, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Have you ever wondered? How could angels, who witnessed the creation of the universe, find such immense joy in the salvation of a single soul? The angels embarked on an unimaginable journey. They stood silent in anguish as the Son of God suffered, waited in tension through the Sabbath, and finally erupted in joy at his resurrection and ascension. But what did they learn through it all? That God's love surpasses all limits, even the understanding of supernatural beings like them. In Ephesians 3:18-19, Paul prays that we may grasp the breadth and length, height and depth of Christ's love, a love that surpasses knowledge. The angels, who had seen God's power in creation, Psalm 33:6, and his mercy toward Israel, Psalm 78:38, learned that his love was greater than anything they had ever known. Consider this: the cross, the empty tomb, and the ascension are not just Jesus' story. They are the story of God's love for you and me. The angels saw it all and call us to look at the cross with new eyes. In John 3:16, the Bible declares, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." The angels learned that the cross is not merely a symbol of suffering, but proof of a love willing to pay the ultimate price. The next time you see a cross, pause and ask, do I see the love that left all of heaven in awe? Am I ready for that love to transform my life? The angels, God's messengers, continue their mission. They protect, guide, and rejoice every time a soul is saved. Luke 15:10. They await the day Jesus returns, as they promised in Acts 1:11, when they will accompany him in glory. But until that day, the story of the cross echoes on, calling us to live in the light of that love. Have you ever wondered? How can a story from 2,000 years ago still change the world today? The angels know the answer, and they invite you to discover it. At the cross, at the empty tomb, and in your own heart. We've just walked through an unforgettable journey, from the indescribable pain of Gethsemane, through the deafening silence of Golgotha, to the explosive joy of the empty tomb and the glorious ascension. The angels, warriors who have sung praises to the Son of God since eternity, stood there, witnessing every moment, from the lashes that tore his flesh to his desperate cry on the cross, and finally to his radiant victory when he rose again. But the question for you today is this: after everything you've heard, what will you do with this story? Will you simply walk away? Or will you let the cross, the symbol of the greatest love ever known, change how you live, how you love, and how you believe? The angels saw the Son of God pay the ultimate price to bring freedom to you and me. They learned that nothing, no sin, no suffering, no death, can stop God's love from triumphing. So, what about you? The next time you see a cross, will you pause and feel the weight of that love? I invite you to carry this story with you. Share it with those who need to hear it, and let it ignite your heart. If this story has touched you, hit the like button, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel to explore more awe-inspiring Bible mysteries with us. Let the cross remind you that you are loved with an everlasting love. And we'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue to uncover stories that shake both heaven and earth.